Okay, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and welcome, people, to episode 136, I believe, of Dude and a Monkey. I'm one of your co-hosts, Mark Foster, and as ever, I am joined by...
I went out for a run and I haven't showered yet. I'm a sweaty, smelly Ian Loring. Hi.
I've been clearing out my garage, and I haven't showered yet, so I am also a very sweaty and very post-Star Warsy man.
Nice, nice.
Yes, so this week we are bringing you a feature review of Gasper Noe's latest effort, Love.
Which I'd just like to say was my idea.
Yes, Ian would like to say that. It was his idea. His idea. We're also bringing you the third instalment of Ian and Mark playing their lightsabers with Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. We'll be bringing you some trailers, some tangents probably, and some what we've been watching, and no questions because we both forgot to ask for any.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which I only remembered, about sort of 10 minutes ago. So, Ian, has anything happened this week in the wonderful world of film that we should talk about before we jump into trailers?
I don't think so, but we were just talking about the football.
We're just talking about the football.
Let's do that a little bit, because why not? So if you're not interested, just fast forward. This season's awesome. The quality's shit.
But it is terrible.
Leicester are top, and with the best will in the world, Leicester.
Yeah.
And good for them.
Who almost got relegated last season.
Yeah, and barely changed the team, and Cambiasso left, and good on them.
Mm.
It's amazing what they're doing. I kind of really hope we just fucking cream them next weekend, but it's probably not going to happen. It will probably be really cagey, and then it will be 1-0 to one of the sides, as like pretty much everything is with United this season. But Klopp seems to have started pulling it round. Arsenal are same old Arsenal, which I still find very entertaining.
Well, the amazing thing is, what was amazing was last season everyone said, "Oh, Arsenal turned over a new leaf," and they brought in Sanchez, and they've changed, and this is the new Arsenal. Well, they actually finished in exactly the same position and had less points last season than they did the season before. And they went out and quite literally bought the best player they could have bought last season. Arsenal will finish third, maybe fourth this season, and actually never kind of trouble the title like they have done for the past 9-10 years.
I genuinely, I think the only real hope they've got is the fact that they are probably going out of the Champions League at the first hurdle, and it just means they're going to have less games to play.
Yeah, and as well, the fact that Chelsea are so far off the top four that it really is going to take something special for them to get sort of back up there. I don't think a 1-0 victory over Norwich spells a turning.
There was a stat before the international. No, quite agreed. There was a stat before the international break. I think it might be on Sunday Supplement. And by the way, thank you very much for turning me on to that podcast. I listen to it every week. Yeah, it's brilliant. That and Robbie Savage just arguing with people on 606 is kind of my jam at the weekend now. But there was a stat that if Chelsea do the points average they did over the course of last season for the rest of this season, they will make the top four. But, they're not going to win now. It's not going to happen.
No.
And I think the best I think they could probably hope for is maybe third.
I would say the thing about Chelsea is they haven't turned into people say, "Oh, well, no team turns into a bad team overnight," and they're still the same team that won the title last season. If you actually, they are, but if you go back to last season, they didn't finish strong. They
were poor the last couple of months of the season. They just already wrapped it up.
And Mourinho essentially created for his own back by essentially coming out and saying, "Well, it was too easy for us last year," and it was a little bit like, all right, but you're not going to have that next season. Man City, have done that thing where they've won it, then been shit. United will get better because they're going to spend a lot of money, and Van Gaal's going to be in his second year. Arsenal will be Arsenal, and there'll be other clubs. It's going to be it's going to be a very interesting kind of next couple of months, really, to see if Spurs can continue this incredible run they're on. They haven't lost since the opening day of the season. I think that's it's amazing how well they're playing at the moment. And if they continue that, they will be contenders. Leicester will fall off. That's just a fact. They will.
It's a strength and depth. It doesn't seem like anyone's really talking about that. It's not just the fact that it's just because they're Leicester. It's because it's going to get into like the festive period where there's just so many fucking games. And if they get a couple of guys injured, I mean, Vardy wasn't fit enough for the England game, and he basically played this game through sheer force of will. So if he gets a knock, then
they go back to Ajoa being who's a thoroughly decent player. But the amazing thing for Leicester is that they will finish sort of like in the top 8 now, just the sheer amount of points that they've got. But there's sort of the other things that, will Liverpool be able to actually start winning games at home? We're very good away from home because of the Gegenpress that we're installing now, but at home we still get that. The other thing I think that is a positive from my own club for Liverpool is we've hit that run of games we had away where our first sort of now we've played United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, City, and Everton away. We've played all those teams away. We've now got all these teams come back to Anfield, and we've done that. And we've changed our manager. We've been fucking awful, and we were awful, and we're still only sort of 6 points outside the top 4. That's pretty. I'm happy with where we are right now.
I'm going to say my top 4 at the end of the season. Yeah. I'm gonna do it. In order 1 to 4: City, United, Spurs, Liverpool.
If that happens, and it's highly feasible that could happen, if that happens, that will be an incredible shift in dynamic in the Premier League.
It would be the Champions League will be really interesting next year, just to see what Spurs and Liverpool can do.
Yeah, I think Spurs. They seem to be settled for the first time in a long time. There seems to be a little bit of togetherness. They're not relying upon one kind of superstar like they did when Bale was there, and everything was funneled through that. It looked like they were going to start doing that with Kane, and everything was given his shoulders. But this season they've not. They're using a squad, and they're a very together squad. They seem to be like that, and it's. It might be a bit of a crest of a wave at the moment, but it's up to them to prove that it's not. What Liverpool have got is they've got a manager who has completely, in such a short space of time, just changed the entire attitude of the club. And as well, what Liverpool now have is, come January, what they had, a problem we had before was, come play with Brendan Rodgers. He Watford and Reading manager, and
he was pretty good at Swansea.
He got Swansea promoted, and his teeth are really white, like really white. Have you seen them? They're really white. All right, yeah, that's it. That's what we've got. Whereas now it's come to Liverpool, you get to play for Jurgen Klopp, and he'll hit you in the face after a match, and he'll slap your ass, and he's a bit mad.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what Liverpool have got now. That it is almost as entertaining watching Klopp on the sidelines. And you do look at him and go, do you know what? You want to play well, just so at the end of the game he'll come and hug you, and he just slaps him in the face.
Yeah, he's fucking hilarious, this Klopp. I don't know. It's just he's got that slightly eccentric quality that I kind of associate with Liverpool. And
yeah,
I love it. I don't know. I mean, as a United supporter, I'm supposed to hate Liverpool, but I just the fans are all so passionate, and I don't know. They've been kind of also rans for quite a really comically also rans for the last few years. I'm kind of do you know what? Let's see them be good again. Why not? It'll be fun.
We've been a club on the cusp of essentially becoming sort of and this is no offense to these clubs, but it is just a fact of football, of becoming a little bit like a Spurs or an Everton, where a club who have got a big fan base, have got a reputation there, but that's all that it is now. They're on the cusp of not being able to get back into it. And I think with the idea of what they've done with Klopp is it's put them back on the cusp of going, do you know what? Maybe not this season, but if next season we get back in the top four, with that kind of that draw, there's already a load of German internationals who are going, do you know what? I could see myself playing there, and it's a wonderful thing. But it's nice the fact that you're looking at it and going, do you know what? This season it will probably be City who win it, but Arsenal could, Spurs could, United could, Liverpool probably can't, but can have an effect on the outcome of it, certainly. And fuck it, if Leicester can keep doing what they're doing, they could end up being the club that stops, maybe doesn't finish fourth, but the club that stops an Arsenal or somebody like that finishing fourth, or a Chelsea finishing fourth. It could just be that, because they could just get the points that kind of just cause that kind of little fucking shift in dynamic. It's a fascinating season this season, even if the quality is a little bit crap. But then again, it's like that across Europe. You've got Clasico happened yesterday.
Yeah, that was stunning.
Barcelona won 4-0. Barcelona are now 6 points clear, which 6 points clear in that league is literally on the cusp of going, just give them the title.
No, I mean, that's it, man. I mean, like, the bottom of the table is really interesting as well. I mean, what I would say, I suppose we should probably move on, but what I would say, Arsenal, the thing that I think is interesting this year is that, like, they're always fourth, pretty much, and it seems like there's maybe a contender or two who kind of just drop off, whereas this season, there's a lot of teams that could potentially be fourth that could bother Arsenal up to the end of the season. You look at Spurs and you look at Liverpool and you think, yeah, I mean, even Leicester at the moment, and you think, yeah, why not? But then the bottom three as well, I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, Newcastle can't get rid of McLaren until at least February without just looking like they just do not know what they're doing. And by then, their death sentence could be signed. Sunderland are just shite.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean,
Sunderland don't have very good players. They have a championship squad
on Premier League wages. Yeah. But I mean, poor Bournemouth. I mean, if they're just terrible luck.
Well, actually, I've sort of like from talking to people who sort of go to matches, Bournemouth were kind of like that. We're going to be everyone's second club this year. Because, it's a small club that's come up against the odds. They went out of business, and Eddie Howe seems like a genuinely good guy, a genuinely good manager. But the general consensus amongst the sort of league seems to be that their fans have been absolute dicks.
Oh, really?
Every single away game. And just nasty chanting, and just been a little bit kind of like, oh, you've brought that kind of that nasty side of lower league football into the Premier League, where you can't really get away with what you're singing here.
Which is weird, because Bournemouth's basically a town where people go to die.
And it's been a little bit kind of like that, where it's very sort of quickly as sort of, no one's talking about them now. Whereas when you think about last season when Burnley were in the Premier League, we're doing pretty much the same as what Bournemouth are doing now. A lot of like the football press were very much still kind of going, look, Burnley are doing, yes, they're not getting back into the points, but at least they're doing it with this. Whereas the football press they've kind of stepped back from the Bournemouth, fairy tale story. And it is apparently, I've spoke to a couple of people who've been at different home games who I know from just general football chat and stuff like that, who said, yeah, their fans are just a little bit nasty.
Fair enough. I mean, you're definitely more educated on that than I am, so that's absolutely fair enough.
So, but anyway, we should probably go on to film, because the non-film related listeners, the non-football related listeners that we have probably going, what the fuck is this? So yes, so if you've skipped forward, now we'll start on film. Ian, what trailers have you been watching?
Fucking busy.
Yeah.
Fucking busy old week, man. The Huntsman Winter's War. I will watch it. I didn't mind Snow White and Huntsman, and
All right, yeah.
This kind of looks like a soft reboot, and
Yeah.
I'm up for Jessica Chastain, the badass. Pardon me, the badass going up against Emily Blunt and Charlize Theron, while Chris Hemsworth slices things
through it.
Yeah, that's fine. I will happily watch this.
Yeah, I probably will. It probably won't be something I'd watch at the cinema unless there's nothing else out that week. If there's nothing else out that week, fuck it, I'll watch it.
Yeah, totally. That's it for me as well. Yeah.
But if there's something else out that week, it'll be. I'm looking forward to watching that when it comes out.
Yeah. No.
Release.
100%, man. Yeah. Zoolander 2, which I'm up for it. Why not?
No. Too late, too long. Looks so much like people trying to recapture how funny they were over 10 years ago.
I can watch Will Ferrell as Mugatu all day long. I can.
Right as that once that bit kicks in the trailer, I went, okay, all right, that I could get on board with, but yeah, there was other bits when I was like, do you know what? I don't think I can go and give money to a film that's going to have Justin Bieber as an actual character in it.
Oh, fuck it. It's a cameo. I don't know. I think it might be one where if there's nothing else out that week, we're going to review it. So that might be an interesting. I got to see what else is out that week. Actually, I think it comes out in February.
I first watched Zoolander on a plane. Actually, I think it was actually on the way to my honeymoon. Let's check the years, see if that marries up. Yeah, it was. It was on the way to my honeymoon. It had been out a while and I hadn't watched it. And I watched it on a plane. And I really, really liked it. I still really like the film. But
here's a bloody... Oh, man, you've not got a good week that week.
Oh, God, what else is out?
Point Break.
Fucking hell.
And Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Oh, what a shite week for cinema. We might do a fucking terrible triple now.
we might, I don't know. It's just do you want to get annoyed by Point Break or do you want to get annoyed by Zoolander 2? That's basically that week for Mark.
That could be quite amusing. I might just go and see both of those just to be angry.
No, God, you'll be so angry. That's brilliant. Now You See Me Too. Yeah. It's just the sequel no one ever asked for.
Nobody asked for it. I think it keeps getting delayed and people just keep going, oh, all right.
The thing is, the first one made a shitload.
It did, yeah.
And even though the ending is really not conducive to a sequel at all.
No, and this, what we said I think was quite interesting about the first one was the fact that the tricks seemed like they were feasible. Whereas this just seems like it's a load of CGI bollocks.
Mm-hmm.
It's an up in the ante.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'll still probably watch it.
I'll watch the shit out of it, but it's just whether it's at the cinema or not is a different question.
Exactly.
Midnight Special.
Yes.
Yes. The poster I think is terrible.
Yes.
But the trailer, I'm up for it. It kind of seems like it's going big on the kid doing a screamy face with white eyes. But I'm kind of intrigued to see what the hell that's about. Midnight Special is a terrible name for a film.
It's an awful name for a film, especially a film that looks to be as kind of serious as this film is. Which essentially is quite nice that what we've got with Midnight Special is we've got a sci-fi movie being released in 2016, so around now, that isn't just kind of full of CGI and battles and things like that. It looks like we're getting a proper serious sci-fi movie, which I'm actually really quite looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all in with Jeff Nichols at this point. He's free. Yeah, I mean, Mud's great. Take Shelter was great. Shotgun Stories is really solid. I'm free for free with him, so A-okay. I'm building up to the one that you sent us the link for yesterday.
You should do, yeah.
The teaser trailer for Central Intelligence.
Oh, so up for it.
Why not? Yeah,
The fact that Kevin Hart just keeps saying stuff to him and he just keeps ignoring him. And
yeah,
just saying the exact opposite. It literally looks like the script said, Kevin, you say this, and then The Rock, you just say it back to him, but the opposite.
yeah. And I mean, the tagline's pretty great as well.
Oh, all you need is a little heart and a big Johnson.
Saving the world takes a little heart and a big Johnson. It's right, yeah, okay, fine.
Do you know it reminded me of, in kind of the tone and the look of it, a little bit like the other guys?
Totally, yeah. I mean, I will say Kevin Hart doesn't look like he's doing anything too much more than he's doing in Ride Along, and I'm assuming Ride Along too.
As well, he was also very similar in Grudge Match as he is in Ride Along, to be honest.
Yeah,
he's just that character.
Yeah, but I mean, at least he's paired up with different personalities each time, and why not? The CG Dwayne Johnson at the end is terrifying.
Yes, it is.
Like Jesus Christ. So yeah, here we go then. Or have you got any others before we?
A couple of others. The Boss, the Melissa McCarthy, her new film that she's got coming out.
I like Miss Melissa McCarthy. The poster makes me want to vomit. So how's the trailer?
It looks quite amusing, actually.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
a very wealthy. She's the wealthiest woman in America, and then she gets done for insider trading, loses all of her money, so has to go and live with her assistant, played by, I want to say, Kirsten Bell, and ends up starting up a new business where she's going to sell brownie cookies, but she's going to bring her kind of business in your face business style to selling brownie cookies, and it looks quite funny, to be honest.
Okay, I'll watch that trailer.
It's a McCarthy movie where I will freely admit a lot of the time when I'm in McCarthy movies, I think the trailers look terrible, but then I watch the films and they make more sense because they just put the shocky bits and her falling over and saying "damn it" a lot in the trailers, whereas in the films the character gets more rounded out. But yeah, it does look quite amusing. And the Red Band trailer for Dirty Grandpa. I'm so fucking in for that movie.
Oh God, what's that against that week?
I'm so in for that movie. Zac Efron and what's it, and De Niro just essentially being offensive to him.
I need to see what else is out that week because I'm not up for that. But
I don't care if I'm the only person who goes to fucking see that, because
Friday, 22nd of January. Okay, that's kind of Oscar-y kind of season.
Oscar, it's going to be up against something big, and I'm going to see both of them.
Come on, what have we got? I'm kind of interested by The Big Short.
Oh, I'm very interested by that.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, The Big Short's going to take it that week for me.
Oh, yeah, I will happily go and see Bad Grandpa as a review movie.
You do a double bill and tell me how it is.
Yeah. Go on then. The one that I sent you a link to, and I can't believe this film exists.
Yeah, okay, so because of my apparent love for the franchise A Haunted House, despite the fact that I think I made it very clear that the most I would give A Haunted House 2 was like 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean I like it, but it does mean I'm probably in the top 1 percentile of people who do like it. 50 Shades of Black, which looks like it's basically going to do the entire plot of 50 Shades of Grey, but just have a couple of jokes in each scene.
Yeah. It looks literally like it's going to be as close as shot for shot as it can get.
It's weird how much that trailer looks like the trailer.
It is. Be honest, did you laugh during the trailer? Because I'm going to be honest, I laughed a couple of times.
I'm trying to think.
I can't that, but I did laugh a few times.
Yeah, I don't know is my genuine answer. I'm not just saying that because I'm saying I'm in the top 1 percentile of people who like A Haunted House 2. So Marlon Wayans makes me laugh. There's something about him. I don't know what it is, but it makes me laugh.
What I will say about that movie, if that film, let's say, drops on... I flick on Netflix on, like, a fucking Wednesday afternoon when I finish work early in the middle of next year, and I put it on, and that film is like, on that tab that you get where it's the new film, and that film is on there. I could see myself going, fuck it, why not?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I will watch it because I've got a weird soft spot for Marlon Wayans.
Yeah.
I will watch it. Am I expecting to like it? No.
No, it'll
because why?
But yeah, I literally just cannot believe that it exists.
Well, sorry, I am eating tea at the same time. I do apologise. The thing is, it's basically, look, give me $15 million,
and I'll make it back and more.
I'll make you 3 times that over the course of a year with like ancillary rights and whatnot, And it's just like, yeah, safe bet. Give him the money, let him do it.
He doesn't make his films don't make a lot of money, but he is an ultimate safe bet.
And they cost fuck all, It's what he does. Yeah, including me, frankly. I like Marlon Wayans, so there you go.
Yeah, good on him. Right, our main review, which was suggested by Ian, is Gasper Noe's return to filmmaking. It's been 5 years since Enter the Void, and this time he comes cock in hand with Love, which, well, the plot of Love seemingly is a cinema student in Paris, an American cinema student in Paris named Murphy, is looking back and lamenting the loss of his girlfriend Electra, because he receives a phone call from her mother saying that she hasn't heard from her, and he thinks that something bad might have happened to her. So we get flashbacks of their start of their relationship and going through their relationship, whilst also seeing Murphy in his current stance where he is living with a woman who he's had a child with, whilst he was with Electra. Is about as close as you can get to the story of Love. Which, of course, has gained notoriety because its sex scenes are not simulated. They are real people having real, actual sex, and quite a lot of it throughout the film, which isn't actually something as new as Gasper Noe would seem to think it is. Ian, Love, what are your thoughts on it?
I've got a better plot synopsis for you. A dickhead acts like a dickhead to his girlfriend and then whines when his girlfriend very sensibly leaves him, and then mopes about while whining, while with the woman that he was a dickhead, he's also being a dickhead to, while sex happens every now and then. The thing is, after watching this, I read Peter Bradshaw's review in The Guardian from Cannes, and he was saying, like, you can't have people tell you it's boring. It's not boring. It's kind of naughty, and it's, it's kind of doing interesting things, and, it's salacious. And no, it's boring as fuck. It's really, 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 really boring, apart from 2 moments. There's a moment where music from Dario Argento's Deep Red plays in the background.
Yep.
And there's a moment where the theme from Escape from New York plays in the background. Apart from that, this film is utterly, utterly boring. There is...
New York, or is it Assault on Precinct 13?
Oh, fuck, have I got that wrong?
I think it's Assault on Precinct 13.
Hang on. Bum-ba-ba-ba-bum. 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 Bum. What's the music from Escape from New York? Fuck.
Oh, shit, what the fuck? I hum it literally every day.
Dun 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 dun. Yeah, no, you're right. No, you are 100% right, and I feel terrible for getting that wrong.
I wouldn't. I don't blame you. I blame Gasper Noe.
Yeah, well, no, but like, seriously, bad Ian. Fuck. But yeah, okay. There's no insight here at all. What is the story? I mean, what was the point in constructing this story? What was Noe trying to say, other than if you cheat on your girlfriend? Yes, you had a threesome with the other girl as well, but if you cheat on your girlfriend, and your justification is I had to, she was really hot. Why am I expected to watch you mope around like a miserable bastard, and every now and then either have sex with your girlfriend or some random in a toilet? I don't. I mean, yes, Noe is an enfant terrible, and I've liked all his previous work that I've seen. I think I've seen all his previous films, and I've liked them all because it felt like they had something to say, whether from a story point of view or cinematically. But here, maybe, the fact that he was wanting to do it with Bellucci and Cassell years ago, and maybe at that time the frankness of the sex may have been more of a thing. So maybe it's just too late for what he was trying to do. But even then, if it was this story with them, I'd still hate Vincent Cassell's character. I'd still feel really bad for Monica Bellucci's character. So I don't know how much better it would have been. It's a terrible fucking film, and I don't see. And it's not. I mean, I did say a couple of weeks back that I am fairly conservative when it comes to sex on film, and I am. I don't know. It's the way I was brought up or something. It's just hardwired in me. But it's not the sex here. I thought the sex was really boring. It's like, yeah, there's a bit where you're cummed at.
That was just playing for 3D.
Yeah, totally. It kind of breaks out through the frames, the kind of the framing and stuff. It's just whatever. But I mean, what was it all trying? I don't get what it was trying to say. It wasn't titillating. It wasn't that hot. I mean, the girls were hot, but I don't know. The fact that you got to know this dickhead even took that out of it, and maybe that was the point. I'd like to know what the point was, but because it's Noe, he'd probably have an answer that I couldn't stand listening to, because it would probably be a bit like fucking pretentious, frankly, which he is. I liked his previous films, but he is. I mean, I'm fucking fascinated to hear what you've got to say about this, because you've not told me a thing.
It's funny because, I mean, like I said earlier the week, Enter the Void was one of my favourite films of that year. It is one of my favourite films of the past 10 years, Enter the Void. I think it's an incredible piece of work. It's interesting. It's saying something. It's talking about actual, reincarnation and how we view emotions and things like that. Then Irreversible is this kind of, this very visceral, very sort of sheer kind of attack on the senses. And then even things like his segment in 7 Days in Havana is incredible. It's a really powerful kind of like 8 or 9 minutes that he's got in that. And the idea of him doing a film where it contains real sex scenes is an interesting idea, because it's taking something and it's almost, yes, it's been done, and it has been done more times than I think Noe probably knows or would like to know. And the idea of that, and then peppering it in with his style and everything like that, works. It is very appealing. The only problem is this film is incredibly dull. There's no, whatever he's trying to say, he never says it. Or, even worse, what he's trying to say is so insignificant and so pointless and so to himself that nobody else picks up on it. It's like you've got a 2-hour plus movie where what he's doing is he's got this, like you say, is an incredibly dull character who is just a dickhead to everybody, to literally everybody. Nobody escapes his dickheadness. And then every so often, it's just like, oh, and here's a sex scene, but look, they're really having sex. And it's a little bit like, hang on a minute, wait a minute, right? You did something very, very interesting with Irreversible, in the fact that you made a film that was so hideous, for essentially its entire middle was so fucking hideous and was so complicated to kind of get your head around how the structure was going, that it was confusing, and it left you in this kind of what is going on kind of mode, and why am I still watching this? Which is what Irreversible did. I remember seeing Irreversible at the cinema, and the vast majority of people that were in that screening left, and somebody actually waited outside the screening to have a go at the people who were still coming out, which was me and one other guy. And I was like, well, I paid to see it all. Was the only answer that I could come out and give him. But here, it was just, hang on a minute, is the only interesting thing you've got in this film the fact that they're really having sex? Because that's not interesting. That's not... Do you know what? If I want to see real actors having sex, instead of stimulating sex, I want it to be actors that I know, that have been in other things.
I mean, yeah, it would have been interesting if Cassell and Bellucci were doing it, because it would have been Cassell and Bellucci. I mean, there would have been a tittillating aspect to that, but...
That would have been a taboo. It would have been a giddy thrill.
Yeah.
You just want to watch people having sex, then there's loads of porn out there that is a lot more tailored towards titivation. So if it's not for titivation, and it's
Is titovation a word?
titivation, I think?
Titillation.
Titillation.
Sorry, just titovation sounds like some sort of thing that William Castle would have done in the 60s.
Well, I'm going to stick with it.
Where, like, no, I love it. I'm not taking the piss. I think it's great. It's like William Castle with, like, every time a woman gets naked on screen, a lap dancer will appear and just gyrate on you on your seat. It's titovation.
So you see, that would at least be interesting.
Yeah.
This, it's if you're going to have it as part of the story. It is not. It is quite simply to try and shock you. But we're not shocked anymore. We see graphic sex scenes in prime-time fucking TV shows nowadays. And yes, they might not be fucking, but do you know what? It's acting. You know, when these people are doing, you know, what would be taboo is if when these people are supposed to all be high on crack or anything like that, they were actually high on crack. Things like that would be taboo. It'd also be illegal, but technically these people are getting paid to have sex, so grey areas.
Yeah.
You know, at least that'd be it, but it isn't. This is just, seriously, you've gone from people looking forward to this because you are a filmmaker who doesn't make a lot of films. You know, I stand alone about in 98, I think. So that's 17 years ago, and this is only his fourth movie. So he doesn't make a lot of films, and you're looking forward to it. And then what he drops is this, where its trump card happens in the opening scene, and then at one point we get about 20 minutes where all he does, the two supposed leads do, is fuck in various places. And to be honest, I would challenge anybody who isn't watching this in a cinema to not start looking at their phone, not of awkwardness, out of sheer boredom.
I had a screener, I had an online screener, and I fast-forwarded it. And it's, like you say, it wasn't because I was like, I don't want to watch this. It was like, I don't want to fucking watch this.
It is, do you know what? I actually contemplated fast-forwarding it, but I thought, do you know what? No, I've got to watch it. Not because it's titivating or anything like that, but just because I want to have watched it. I want to have watched the whole thing so I can go, do you know what? That was a waste of time. No matter what somebody says about it and saying, oh, you can't say it's boring. Why? Why can't I say it's boring? It's boring. The acting is terrible. The only person who's speaking in their native tongue sounds like the only person who's never heard.
Yes. Yeah.
He's terrible. He has one expression, and it is just, I don't really know what's going on. And there's no character in it that actually makes you. The one character in it that makes you go, well, they're all right, is the girl he lives with. And even she, when you think about it, is a bit of a shit.
Well, yeah, no, totally. She she invites him to come over, and she knows
Yeah.
what she means.
Yeah.
You know.
And the drug dealer, who is a drug dealer.
Yeah,
yeah. And ends up kind of getting her strung out on what is it and causing problems. But it's very much. Or he gets angry and jealous, and then he goes and fucks another girl, and he gets angry and jealous when she talks to the guy, and he insults the French, and the guy's got a fucking Birth of a Nation poster in his kitchen, which made me go, wow, that wouldn't surprise me if Gasper Noe has quite literally that set is what his apartment looked like when he was that age.
Yeah, I mean, like the fact that, the kid's called Gaspar and there's a character in it called Noe, who I believe is actually played by Noe, the ex of, the older ex.
Yeah, in a fetching wig.
Yeah.
I think isn't Murphy Gasper Noe's mother's maiden name?
Probably. It's trying to do all this autobiographical stuff, and it's just like, wait, okay, so basically, what are you trying to say? You were a dick in real life?
I think Gasper Noe is somebody who would kind of admit he is a bourgeois, pretentious dick in real life. I think he would freely admit that. I mean, he said that to get it ready for Cannes, he had to spend 3 weeks working 24 hours a day to get it ready. Well, fucking, you might as well have not bothered, really. Because it looks like it was thrown together over a weekend. Interestingly shot.
No, I mean, there's occasional moments I thought were kind of alright where he'll be thinking about something and then it will flash and it's like his girlfriend will be looking at him and then it will flash back and she's not there. A bit student filmmaker-y, but it's the only visually interesting stuff he's got here. And I include "come in your face,"
which comes out of kind of nowhere, and it's very much like quite literally halfway through the movie, somebody on set went, "Ooh, shit, what?" Gasper went, "What?" And he went, "Are we released this in 3D?" And I went, "Oh God, we are! Fucking hell, yeah, we are." Can someone jerk him off? And we'll put a 3D camera right in the front of it. Yeah, good. Right, there's our 3D money shot. And it just feels a little bit like it's a little bit pathetic, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically I'm going to make a film with real hardcore sex in 3D, but make the rest of it really boring. I kind of wonder if that was on purpose.
Which if it is,
I'd kind of be like, yeah, fair enough. You kind of tricked us. Good on you.
You did, but then you'd also say you tricked us. Fair, good. Yeah, I could agree with that. But why? Show the joke's on you, because essentially what you've done is you've just made a bad movie. If you as Gasper Noe want to make a porn movie, just make a fucking porn movie. Yeah. That'd be more interesting. Is if Gasper Noe said, do you know what? I'm not going to make a movie. I'm not going to make a movie that will get accepted into Cannes just because it is my movie. I'm going to make a porn movie. I'm going to go out and I'm going to get Vivid Pictures or one of the other porn companies. I'm going to get one of those to give me X amount of money, and I'm going to use porn actors, and I'm going to make a porn movie.
Yeah.
That would be more interesting than what he has done, which essentially has made a vanity project and has exploited actors who aren't good enough to be actors and people that he's met in a club, which were the two female leads, to essentially... because he knows that he can get them to do these things and that they'll be willing to do this. because it won't affect their future careers because they won't have.
They won't have one. Yeah, quite. I'm done.
It's not a very good film. It's to the point of not being a good film that it's actually it's not pretentious crap. It's just crap. It's a waste of time, and it's exploitative. There's no other way around it. It is exploitative. It's Gasper Noe using the fact that he has been previously an interesting filmmaker to make a vanity project where I get the feeling he has spent a lot of time sat watching attractive women fuck a dickhead.
Yeah. I mean, American Sniper is going to be my worst film of the year. There is no conceivable way that a film is going to literally make me throb with rage as much as American Sniper did. But this is, in any other year, this would be my worst film of the year. Any other year.
If you'd have told me at the start of the year that Gasper Noe, Gasper Noe film would be one of the worst films we've ever done a feature review of, I'd be amazed.
Yeah, do you know what? I would say the same.
Yeah.
You'd at least expect there something to be cinematically interesting, at the very least.
At the very least, but it wasn't. It was just... It's just not very good. Yeah, it's a definitely shit, and I'm incredibly disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, I know you were up for it, but I still apologise for suggesting we review it. I would have rather have spent my time watching the fucking Hunger Games. And I
didn't like the Hunger Games.
Yeah, so never mind, eh? But, yeah.
Okay, Ian, give us some what you've been watching.
Okay, so I need to just stop depressing myself. Quickly, because you only talked about it last week or the week before, Inside Out. I rewatched Inside Out today. Yep. Lottie, bless her, sat through pretty much the whole thing, split into 2 sittings, but sat and watched the whole fucking thing. And she's less than 2. She was liking the colours and things like that, but when they go down into the memory dump, she was like, oh no. She understood
what it was. That's awesome.
Which was great. And when they're trying to get out of the memory dump, she was going wee, which was great. And she was laughing at anger. So my kid has laughed at Lewis Black, and she's not even 2. That's great. It's. Donna came in and we were just finishing it off, and the last 15 minutes, it kills me. And the fact I was watching it with her as well, just I don't know. It's just the fact that sadness is going to become a substantial part of her life at some point for some reason, and I don't know. Just watching it with her, it really set me off. But yeah, I mean, it shows. When I was saying, when we were talking about it, when you saw it, that it's not a film for kids, it's not. I mean, I'd stuck it on with Lottie watching it because it was bright and colourful. I'm not expecting her to get the meaning. Once she actually understands these concepts, there's probably going to be a 5 to 10 year period where she's not going to like the film. But for now, she does. But it toes the line between being actually genuinely funny and also intelligent and emotionally affecting. And I think it does that really, really well throughout. I was even less bothered by the jokey stuff in the credits at the end. I think maybe because I needed the laughs after the kind of emotional release of what had happened previously. Even though, I mean, the cat bit is funny. The cat bit is funny.
It's fucking hilarious.
God, there's the bus driver one where it's literally just one gag, and he's in a traffic jam, really calm, and then it just cuts to his brain and everybody's screaming. It's a bit, I don't know about that. But solid swear word joke where it's Lewis Black trying to swear, and it's funny. But yeah, anyway, Inside Out, it's challenging up the top of the year for me. And Donna came in and watched the last 10 minutes. I think she wasn't previously really up for watching it. I think she now is, just based on that stuff. So she's she's seen the ending, but never mind. But yeah, Inside Out, I just still think it's a marvelous film, and it's Lottie's second film. So yay. I've got two others. Shall I just bang through them both, or?
Yeah, you can do it. I'll race through mine.
Okay, cool. So quickly on this one, The November Man.
Oh, that's the Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
Still trying to make people think that he's an actual actor.
Yeah, pretty much. I was on the train to work, having a look through Netflix.
Is it literally just Pierce Brosnan is trying to do a Taken?
Kind of. Basically, the trailer is a little bit misleading, because the trailer basically has it that he's trained up this young recruit, and then years later, the young recruit is tasked with the mission of killing him. And yeah, that is a part of the plot, but the recruit, who I believe is playing the Keanu Reeves role in the Point Break remake, if I remember correctly. Luke Bracey, I think his name is. Yeah. I mean, he's just standard issue Sam Worthington clone. Like, really, like, he was like genetically spliced or something. Like, they just got one of Sam Worthington's hair follicles and stuck it in a DNA replicator for a couple of months or something, and out popped Luke Bracey. It kind of goes into this convoluted story about the reasons why they're hunting down Pierce Brosnan, and it's like, there's somebody in the agency who's gone rogue, basically, and is trying to cover things up, and Olga Kurilenko plays a woman with a mysterious past who Pierce Brosnan teams up with, and it's Pierce Brosnan doing the post-Bond spy stuff that you kind of imagine him doing, really. I didn't hate it. It's fine. I watched it in 5 separate 20-minute sessions on the train. So, it was just one of those.
Yeah.
I literally watched it over the space of 3 days. And by the end of it, it was like, yeah, all right, that's one to talk about on the show, I suppose. The action was okay. Weirdly low-key ending. You're kind of expecting an explosive finale, and it's like, yeah, we kind of run out of money, so we're just going to have Olga Kurilenko punch a woman, and Pierce Brosnan just kind of talk, and that'll be the end. So there you go, The November Man, whatever. But the thing, it's one of those, if you are stuck for something to watch on Netflix, it's not going to be too offensive to you. I don't know, 2.5, 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
There's nothing particularly terrible about it, even though Luke Bracey's not great, but he's in it a lot less than you think he is, so that's good. Okay, so the thing I really want to talk about this week is The Captains, which is new to Netflix UK. And again, this was a bit of a train watch. And a bit of a train wreck, but in the most enjoyable way. So it's directed by William Shatner, and it's a documentary where William Shatner basically goes around and interviews all the captains on Star Trek, and then randomly interviews Christopher Plummer, because he played a general in Star Trek VI, and he's a mate.
Yeah, I read a thing, it might not be right, this, that Christopher Plummer was going to be originally was going to be Captain Kirk, but he was doing a play or something, and he got a little bit too drunk and didn't turn up to the audition or something like that. If Shatner ended up getting it in the end, that I might have dreamt that or something like that, but I'm sure I heard that somewhere. So, Mike, if you could confirm if that's true or not.
Yeah, that would be lovely, actually. Because, if that's the case, they don't mention it here.
Yeah, but I'm sure I read that or heard it somewhere, but I might have got that mixed up. It might be a story from something else, and it involved Christopher Plummer and somebody else, something like that. But I'm sure I heard that somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. Like I say, they don't talk about that here. the thing is, it's mental, which is so weird because it's just a documentary about William Shatner going around and interviewing the other captains. The introduction of of him interviewing Kate Mulgrew, who was Janeway in Voyager.
Yeah.
He's sitting in a cardboard box on a street in New York. And Kate Mulgrew walks up to it and knocks on it, and then he appears, and it's almost like she's genuinely taken by surprise. So it's almost like, what, did one of William Shatner's assistants say, just trust us, walk up to this box and knock on it? And then later on, there's footage of him at a Star Trek convention, and he's saying, I'm doing this documentary, The Captains, and, I met Kate Mulgrew and I was sat in a box. What's that about? And it's like, well, no, Will, what is it about? Because it was your idea, it seems like.
Yeah, because he directs it and you write it as well.
Yeah. I mean, the bit where...
That man.
I mean, it's just he's sitting on a bench and then Patrick Stewart walks by and then he says something to him. The introduction of him and Avery Brooks, Cisco from Deep Space Nine, it's just them kind of walking up a garden, talking about ships in the horizon and life. And Chris Pine, they're just sat at a table on the sidewalk outside the entrance to Paramount Pictures. And
because he's a little bit...
No.
He's not...
It's almost like he had a spare 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So they it's weird how brief he is in it for. And it's Scott Bakula. The introduction is they're just walking towards each other. Coupled with, I don't know whether it's just the editing, but Shatner's line of questioning is really intense. He barely lets the other person finish their sentence, and then he's saying stuff, and it's almost like he's trying to will them into agreeing. There's a fascinatingly batshit bit with Kate Mulgrew where he's basically trying to get her to agree that women can't make good starship captains because of, and I quote, hormonal rages.
Wow.
And then she's like, well, yeah, kind of. I suppose you're right, William Shatner. Yeah. What?
It's just more like if I agree with you, will you stop talking?
Basically, yeah. Just leave me alone if I just agree with everything you say for 20 minutes. And the Avery Brooks stuff is amazing because the large part of it is them sat at a piano, and every now and then Avery Brooks just starts playing music and laughing to himself, and then Shatner starts to try to improvise singing, and then he'll do a line, and then Avery Brooks will just laugh at him like, no, that's not the line, and then just start singing himself, and then Shatner's trying to join in with that. There's barely any insight, it's kind of fascinating. Almost in a kind of hypnotic way. Seriously, Shatner's really intense line of questioning is something to behold. So it's patently terrible documentary filmmaking, but I can't help but recommend it because of its oddness, and it shouldn't be odd.
No, it should be a little, but then again, it's Shatner, so you kind of expect oddity from him, don't you? A little bit.
Yeah. I suppose you do. I don't know. It's mental, and in a good way. In a good way. It's on Netflix UK. I'd kind of suggest having a couple of beers with it.
How long is it? Is it 90 minutes?
About 95, 100 maybe.
95, not too bad then, is it?
Yeah.
If it was over 100 minutes, nowhere.
Mm. No, agreed. I don't know. The Avery Brooks stuff. again, the footage at the convention again, he's talking about how nuts Avery Brooks is. It's like, well, to be fair, Bill, you're kind of there with him, just fucking singing along, marching to the beat of your own drum. And it's seriously, it's fascinating. I'm not even a massive fan of Star Trek, but it's really mad. It's mad.
That's one that I might give a watch one afternoon.
Yeah, why not? It's to be fair, the conversation between him and Patrick Stewart is actually pretty good, and him and Scott Bakula, because of Scott Bakula's like ex-TV, like lead TV fame, there's a kind of a reciprocal kind of understanding between the two, like kind of being famous in that specific time period.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mental. Anyway, that's it for me. Go ahead, man.
All right, cool. I've watched a few this week. It's not a bad week for watching. I've rewatched Skyfall.
Oh yes, you said you were going to do this. How was it?
I did rewatch Skyfall. I still unfortunately can't get on with it, which just made me say I was really hoping to, but I find personally that it drags too much, and it's not focused enough for me anyway it's a Bond film that doesn't seem to focus on Bond. It seems more caught up in the peripheral characters than it does in actually telling a Bond story.
There's a lot of setting up in Skyfall. Yeah.
It's a little bit like the idea of it's going to be. I still can't work out what Javier Bardem's character is really. His entire thing seems to be a bit of a revenge mission against M because he's got some kind of weird mommy complex, which seems like he's gone to an awful lot of trouble for that. I also think that watching, like you said, post Spectre changes your view on it a little bit, because the bit where he interrogates Bond, where essentially he is just feeling up Bond, and he's like tapping away on a computer and saying, I've just done this, and I've just done this, I've just done this, and it's like, you've just done all that, but it seems like you're doing all that quite easily, but the stuff you're going to do later on is going to be quite difficult.
I don't get any sense in Skyfall whatsoever that he has a boss.
Yes, no, he doesn't seem to. He doesn't seem to have a plan really, or a motive or anything like that. Other than he wants to kind of he wants to turn Bond in more than one way, and he wants to get at M, and that's about it really.
Even with Quantum of Solace, I mean, like the fact that Quantum's this massive shadowy organisation, and Mr. White says, "Oh, you don't even know who you are, do we?" Here we are worrying that the MI6 are gonna be on to us. You don't have a clue who we are. Yeah. It's like, well, are you talking about Quantum or are you talking about Spectre? Because in Quantum of Solace, you're talking about bloody Quantum, but by the time we get to Spectre, it's not. Oh no, actually, you're talking about Spectre. It's the retconning really fucking annoys me. It really annoys me.
Well, I think if you go back and watch them, it'll annoy you a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it will now. I think it's going to retroactively make those films worse by association now.
It is. Another thing I will say, although it's Deakins and it's Deakins is a fantastic cinematographer, I don't think it looks as nice, to be honest.
The Macau stuff and that fucking fight scene against the neon.
The neon fight scene's fantastic. It is, yes. The Macau stuff I'm not a fan of, to be honest.
Man, when he's on that bloody boat and the whole kind of Skyfall strings are going.
It's a wonderful advert for vodka. But that's about it. I did try a game with Skyfall because I thought, you know what, going back, been in a bit of a Bond mood because I've had Spectre and I really like that, and I like Quantum of Solace. I just watched that last week. Go on, here you go. It's gonna get me now, and I'm gonna go, and I'm looking forward to rewatching it. And it doesn't sit for me, to be honest. It seems out of sync for me, to me. But everyone else likes it, and I'm glad about that. But yeah, I did try it. But out of the Craig Bonds, it's the one I probably won't watch again, to be honest. And it's the one I probably watch most, really. I've desperately tried to like it.
Fair enough.
So going from a film that I was trying to like to a film that I watched and didn't expect to like as much as I liked it. I watched Pixels last night.
Right.
And really enjoyed it.
Okay. Fair. Well, somebody has to.
Yeah, I really kind of quite enjoyed it. It's a bit stupid, but I kind of think it kind of knows that a little bit. The jokes are so on the nose that you kind of go, oh.
Sorry about that, bud.
No, not from all. So Pixels, yeah, it's on the nose, it's jokes, it does everything you expect it to kind of do. I find it amusing the fact that they play Kevin James as just being the bumbling president of America, which is, quite kind of what you'd expect from him. But yeah, I really quite enjoyed it, to be honest. It was. I watched it with Becky and Isabel last night, and it is kind of like that's the perfect time to watch it. It's a sort of 7 o'clock on a Saturday night kind of family film to watch, and I was quite surprised at how much I enjoyed it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said on the show a few weeks back, I didn't hate it as much as I thought I was going to.
I think that was a lot of it was the shot. The final third is the worst bit of the film, but by that point, it had built up enough kind of goodwill that I was willing to go, do you know what, you can get away with that now.
It's just, it would have been nice if Michelle Monaghan was in a position in her career where she could have said no to it, but, never mind.
It's just strange when it's Michelle Monaghan.
Yeah, kind of all over the place, though, but no, fair enough. Good on you.
Watched the 2002 film Changing Lanes.
Okay, yeah.
Just because we just thought, you know what? It looks like sort of me and Bex are both really tired. I think it was on a Thursday night. I went, it looks like the sort of thing we can have on, watch, it'll finish, and we'll go, that was all right, but we'll have to pay no attention if we don't need to it. Which is pretty much what Changing Lanes is. It's entertaining enough, but never gets so entertaining that you actually care. There's not a single likeable character in the entire movie at all. Everybody is a terrible person in some way or another. You've got Ben Affleck, who is the young, hotshot lawyer who, he's never really been an idealist, and he's very much aware that he's an arsehole. But, he thinks that by him being an arsehole, he's doing some kind of good. He's not, he's just an arsehole. His bosses are just money-grabbing arseholes, and Samuel L. Jackson is, a recovering alcoholic who likes to get a little bit angry about shit.
Mm.
It's it's a funny film, but good thing is we needed something that was around sort of an hour and a half long, pre-credits, so it suited the mood for that night.
Mm.
A couple more. Watched last night Fracture, the Anthony Hopkins and Ryan Gosling.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of one of those that directed by Gregory Hobler, who kind of it was the film where studios, I think, started to pay attention to Ryan Gosling, because he'd already, he'd built up a little bit of following with films like United States of Leland, and The Notebook had received him sort of some notoriety in some quarters. But also think things like The Believer had got him, a bit of a cult following as a young actor to look out for, as did Half Nelson, which got nominated for the Academy Award, but nobody actually fucking saw in a cinema. And Fracture made the studios go, well, actually, do you know what? We can give him a studio movie and put him on a poster with somebody like Hopkins, and he can sell a movie, a little bit like Gregory Hobler did with Edward Norton in Primal Fear, which is another film very similar to Fracture in the fact that you've got a performance from not the lead actor kind of takes away from the more established stars of the movie. Hopkins is doing that post kind of Hannibal thing, where essentially he just played a version of Lecter in everything. he's Hopkins in it, really, and that's about it.
That's about all you can really bloody say about him these days, isn't it? Really?
He is, yeah, and he's a little bit, he always plays very smart characters that are usually very wealthy, but are a little bit kind of nasty to an extent, and are very arrogant. So a little bit like himself, really. He's playing Anthony Hopkins. I mean, the great thing about the terrible thing about Anthony Hopkins is he's gradually got worse since he got more and more famous. Really, before he did Silence of the Lambs, and he was a jobbing actor who was still recovering from his drink problems. He was actually quite an interesting actor, and now he's just a bit boring. Gosling, when he's not trying to have the accent that he has in it, is very interesting. Rosamund Pike is good in it, despite the fact that she gets nothing to do at all except look stunning, which she does with aplomb, we'll say. But it's an entertaining kind of Saturday night, couple of glasses of wine and bowl of popcorn movie, really. It's one of those. It's that kind of thriller that you get where it's how's he done this? How's he done this? And you kind of go, I think it's this. Why hasn't, if I think it's this and I'm watching the movie, why haven't the people who are supposed to do this for a job ever looked at this? And that seems a little bit blah because there'd be this and this and this. So it's one of those where if you think beyond the surface of what you're watching, then you're misunderstanding the movie you're watching.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it easily enough. And then the other day I watched Dead Presidents, which was the Hughes Brothers follow-up to Menace to Society.
Yeah.
Their sort of Vietnam kind of tale, but more kind of following the vein of Deer Hunter, where you've got a pre-Vietnam Lorenz Tate, and then a post-Vietnam him as well. So there's before he goes to Vietnam, where he's actually enlisted to go to Vietnam, despite the fact that he could quite easily go to college, but he wants to join the Marines because his dad was in the Marines, and he wants that really. And then when he gets out of gets back, he realizes that there's nothing really for him when he comes back. His girl that he was kind of never really that interested in has got a kid that he's never seen, but the kid's 3 or 4 years old by this point, and it's thrust upon him to be a dad, which he kind of wants, but he doesn't want the girl, but he doesn't want her to be with anybody else. He can't get a decent job, but that's what he wants, so ends up kind of getting dragged into this this heist by Freddie Rodriguez, funnily enough. I forgot he was in this. And Chris Tucker to come and to kind of do this heist where they get him to plan it because he was sort of one of the heads in this elite special forces in Vietnam. So they think that he can do it and that he can plan this sort of seamless heist, which goes tits up. But it's just such a really, really good film. It is Dead Presidents. It's one that doesn't really get spoken about enough. The performances, you've got Lorenz Tate, Keith Davis in it, Chris Tucker's very good in it, Freddie Rodriguez is good, Buckham Woodbine as a preacher's son and then preacher, but while he was in Vietnam, he, for instance, carried around a trophy that he took when they killed the entire squadron of Viet Cong. The trophy that he's carrying around is a head.
Nice.
And it's an entire head. And then when eventually the rest of the platoon get sick of it, the smell of this head, he buries it and basically says, that was our good luck charm. None of us have been hit since I took that head. You can pretty much guess what happens afterwards. But yeah, it's a really quite a powerful movie that takes a look at similar to, like, say, what films like Born on the 4th of July did, or let's say The Deer Hunter. It's very closely linked to The Deer Hunter, I'd say. It looks at life before, life during, and life after. And although it is dealing with the black community with it, it's not playing more to that really. It's not pitching itself as being this is what happened to young black men who came back from Vietnam. It is still just pitched itself as this is what happened to young men who came out of Vietnam, and these young men happen to be from a black area in the Bronx. I mean, for instance, you've also got, let's say, Fred Rodriguez in there as well. So it's not just sort of trying to play that angle, which the film benefits from, but it's quite staggering the fact that this was their second movie, Albert and Alan Hughes, and these guys, I think at the time were only sort of like 23 when they made this film, and it's got a lot to say for two 23-year-olds really.
Yeah, oh God, it's been a number of years since I've seen Dead Presidents. I'll be honest, I barely remember anything about it.
I watched it on Brazilian Netflix.
Okay, wow, okay.
Yeah, I watched it on Brazilian Netflix because it was available on Brazilian Netflix. So,
yeah, fair dues.
It's also available on Mexican Netflix and a lot of the South American Netflix it seems to be available on. It must be something to do with the studio deal they've got down in South America.
Yeah.
So I watched it. On one of those. So if you do have access to the multi regions, I'd definitely suggest giving it a watch because it's certainly got a lot to say. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed my rewatching it.
Yeah, nice.
Cool. Right. We shall get into our third instalment of our Ian and Mark play with their lightsabers marathon. We are on to the final film of the second trilogy. I don't know how you're supposed to call it.
Yeah.
Still fucking confuses me. Which is Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. As I'm going to do with every single one of these, Ian, you can explain the plot because it still kind of baffles me.
War! As the first word of the opening film says.
Exclamation mark.
Yeah. Okay. Padme and Anakin have secretly married. Anakin and Obi-Wan are basically trying to track down Count Dooku, who escaped at the end of Episode 2. They find him on a space station, and within the first 10 to 15 minutes, Dooku is mercilessly killed by Anakin Skywalker on kind of the Emperor's behest. And then through the film, basically, it's the fall of the Jedi and the revenge of the Sith. So you've got Anakin getting basically pulled by both sides, both by his kind of dedication to the Jedi, but is also his annoyance that they're not taking him seriously enough with his dedication to the Emperor and the Emperor's increasing amount of responsibilities willing to foist upon Anakin. And that's basically it, really. I mean, it is the story of Anakin Skywalker's fall, and thankfully, his kind of childishness and impetuousness actually plays off in a narrative sense in this one. His bullishness and his "I can do anything I want, I'm a powerful Jedi, I will even stop death." Is played quite well by the way that Hayden Christensen is playing it. He's whiny as fuck, and he's a shit Jedi. It could very much be argued, how the fuck didn't Obi-Wan see that this was going to be a problem years beforehand? But I think that stuff actually plays out quite well in this film. I think this is by far the best of the prequels. I think it actually looks all right. The action sequences are decent. The seemingly one take thing at the start, I think, is genuinely good blockbuster filmmaking. And there's a sense of stakes and scale and shit actually happening in this one, which it doesn't really feel like either of the previous two had. Coupled with that, it's the first Star Wars film with a 12 rating, and I think it uses that. It goes to some pretty dark places. It's got some pretty dark imagery at times, and I kind of wish this was the George Lucas that we had doing episodes 1 and 2. Really, for me, he ended it on quite a strong note for him, relatively speaking. Go on.
It's by far the best of of these three installments without question. Yeah, like you say, you actually feel like you're getting somewhere with it, whereas you don't with the first. I personally didn't with the first two. I felt like they existed for the sake of existing, whereas this is kind of like this is the one that's setting up all of the. The next three movies, which obviously already exist at this point, which kind of does detract a little bit from certain bits within this film. For instance, the big battle with Obi-Wan Kenobi is a little bit like, okay, but all I'm doing now is waiting to see how he loses the legs and the arm. And that's it. There's no peril. There's no peril for Yoda or anything like this because you already know what happens to them. So there is that a little bit. I still think it's a good half an hour, if not more, too long. It
is really long. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
way too much padding. There's scenes where let's be brutally fucking honest. For all the things that George Lucas is, he's not a great director. Great storyteller, great kind of, I don't know, a word for it. A great film person, a great person that's done a lot within the film world. But as a director, he's not that great, really. And when he's got nobody there to go, no, it seems like he lets himself run a bit wild because there's points where you get the feeling a better director, for want of a better word, really, would go, this scene needs to be more punchy. This scene will feel better if we cut out certain bits of it. Some of the fucking dialogue is just every time Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman are on screen together, you're going, oh God, what are they going to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's the worst. It's like episode 2. I mean, it's the one aspect that I think has demonstrably not improved between the two films. They're still both terrible together.
There's a scene where I can't even remember what they're saying to each other, but it's so cringingly.
Oh, is it the it's because I'm so in love with you?
Yes, it's that.
Are you saying that love has made you blind?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is the worst.
It's bad. Also, as well, the Vader stepping out of the thing and has first been introduced to Darth Vader and him going, awkwardly stepping out of that thing, stumbling and going, no!
Well, no, I mean, like, it's just, it's Darth Vader saying, and Padme. It's so weird that Darth Vader is actually trying to have emotion in his voice.
It's the way he kind of stumbles out of that thing, and
yeah, he kind of breaks like the thing, and like steps out with his arms in front of it. Yeah.
It's a bit like, oh fuck! I've just watched 3 fucking movies, nearly fucking 8 hours to get to. No! Did you really just do that?
Yeah, I mean, you've got that one. It kind of has to happen, but one slight bugbear of mine is the way that, like, suddenly when they're on Senator Organa's like ship, it suddenly looks like the interiors of the spaceships from Episode 4, whereas previously they looked futuristic, and now they look like white bobbly things about with lines of black.
Whereas previously they did look a little bit like the Fifth Element raped Blade Runner.
Yeah, just a good way of putting it. Yeah. I mean,
what I will say is this film for the first time in these ones looks quite good. Actually, it does look quite nice. It is almost like Lucas watched Episode 2 and went, "I look like shit, innit, guys?"
Yes, yeah.
Better, and it looks better from the get go.
I mean, the thing. I mean, I like the sense of a kind of almost hopelessness for a lot of it. Just when Palpatine is ordering him to do all this really horrible shit, and you're I don't know, you're watching it and just like him with the younglings. I mean, yeah, they call them younglings in that bad. But I mean, shit.
You can't.
Like when he walks in at those kids
in this.
I mean, yeah, cut out General Grievous. What's the point other than he's an action figure? There's no point. There's no point. But he's in Clone Wars as well. But again, kind of whatever. It just the scene of Anakin walking in and like all the kids, and then him turning on his lightsaber. It's like, wow, I didn't actually think they were going to have the balls to go there. And it's interesting because Lucas was saying in defense of Phantom Menace, he always thought that these films were for kids. So he was making a kids' film. Yeah, no, Revenge of the Sith isn't really for kids like Jar Jar is for kids. I like the fact that it does actually feel like Lucas did listen.
Yeah.
In aspects. I mean, in Episode 1, Jar Jar is a prominent role. Episode 2, he has about 3 or 4 lines. Episode 3, he is seen but not heard. And that's how we want our Jar Jar. Yeah, so it does actually feel like he's listening, he's taking this stuff on board. I will say as well, I mean, like, I genuinely think Ewan McGregor is good in this. Yes, the action sequence on Mustafar is, underwhelming in its predictableness because obviously, but when he's saying, "You were my brother, I loved you," I believe his half. I don't believe Hayden Christensen's half, but I believe McGregor's.
I believe McGregor's, and it's good because for those moments where where you're getting angry and emotional, Obi-Wan from McGregor, he's not just trying to do an Alec Guinness impression.
Yeah, sure.
Which he is throughout a lot of the other bits, and it is a little bit like, stop, just play your version of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Don't stop trying to do an impression of somebody else. It's deeply distracting, and it's making you look silly at points.
Yeah.
In those bits, that bit, he's great. He's great for the vast majority of this film, to be honest. I think it's a good performance.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's just like the fact that it's not like a father-son relationship; it's brothers. I like that. Especially considering the way he's like. It's like Qui-Gon was more like his dad, and then he kind of takes him on almost as like a stepbrother kind of a thing. I like that, and I would love to see Ewan McGregor come back if there was some like I don't know, if they were going to do like one of these in between films where it's a story of Obi-Wan between Episode 3 and Episode 4 or something. I'd love to see Ewan McGregor come back and headline something. Yeah, just a couple more hours of his Obi-Wan being his Obi-Wan. I'd really enjoy that.
He is, as the films go on, he does become the one where you go, do you know what? He's probably the one out of these three that can hold his head up highest, because Hayden Christensen can't, quite simply.
Natalie Portman, I don't think
she's terrible.
She's bad. I do think her against Hayden Christensen makes her relatively less bad in comparison. It's just Hayden Christensen, every single fucking line reading of his is terrible. And it's almost like Lucas wrote Episode 3's character arc around Hayden Christensen's inability to...
It's a little bit like shit-covered pizza versus... piss-filled lemonade.
Sure, yeah, no. I agree with that. The thing is, the Hayden Christensen and the Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman stuff is the only stuff in the film that I seriously have a problem with. And there's not as much of that as there is in Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones has to have those two at the centre of it for a large portion of time, and is terrible as a result. Here, yes, you have got the lovers. So you're saying lovers blinded you? That bobbins. But I mean, they're necessarily separated from most of the film here, and I'm fine with that. But yeah, I mean, like I said before, the impending doom I think John Williams is still doing damn solid work here. The fact that they just about managed to get a bit of hope in there at the end, just to kind of tee you up into Episode 4. I love the fact that Joel Edgerton is in the last shot of a Star Wars film. That's so weird. You know. And it's just, I actually have a good time watching this one.
Like I say, I'll be honest. It's the one I liked the most out of them. I was still while I was watching it going, I cannot understand why this film's still on. I cannot understand why this film has taken this long to tell this little story.
I mean, yeah, the General Grievous stuff, like, just cut him out at the start and just have Count Dooku at the head of that ship and not General Grievous. Like, what's the point there? And, you know,
this is a movie that would benefit so much from being punchier, and it's not. It has so many points where it drags its heels.
Even though, I mean, I will say the General Grievous in there does give us the moment where Ewan McGregor just drops down and goes, "Hello there," which before he gets his lightsaber out and starts fighting, which I really like.
It's nice, yeah. It is.
It's just the kind of the smirk on his face as he's saying it. I want more of that Obi-Wan, and there's moments of that in 2 and here, and I want more of that.
I'd happily prefer to keep that and lose Yoda fighting.
Palpatine.
Palpatine.
I've got
that was just. It was just boring. It was a little CGI green dude fighting what has gone from being a really quite interesting villain to being
really... And his little whirlwind forward move that he does. Yeah. That, I've got to say, ever so slight quick tangent. I've been playing Star Wars Battlefront this weekend, and the Emperor is one of the characters you can play for a limited amount of time in that game. And one of his special moves is that move, and it looks so fucking weird. You're a random soldier, and in the distance you can see the Emperor just like whirlwinding towards someone. It's like, what? It's amazing. It's amazing. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is also, I will say, the bit where Hayden Christensen and Samuel, is having the argument with Samuel L. Jackson while Samuel L. Jackson's almost about to kill Palpatine. Every time I watch this film, because I'm an idiot, I genuinely get he's so close to actually, turning back. Do it. Don't go with Palpatine. And then he does it, you know. But I think they actually genuinely build that conflict in him really well. And the moral of that is, if Samuel L. Jackson was less of a twat to him through the course of these films, Palpatine would have died. It's just
plays him so easily though.
Oh no, yeah, he does, but it's because he's willful and rash and selfish. You know, that's the thing. The Jedi are supposed to be selfless, and the Sith are selfish. Anakin Skywalker, at the end of it, is selfish. He wants to stop those he cares about from dying, but he's got I'm going to stop them from dying. I will have the power to do that, which is his downfall. I mean, I like the idea that it's almost like the snake eating his tail, that he's having this dream that she's going to die in childbirth, and that's what sets him off on his course. But she dies in childbirth because he goes on that course. I like that that whole kind of thing where it's almost like it's just unstoppable. It's just inevitable.
Yeah.
That's a good kind of classical idea. I don't know. I mean, I think maybe in my tone of voice compared to episode 1 and 2, I think I'm being a lot more animated about this one, and I think it's because there is more to say.
There's a lot more to get animated about. There's a lot more going on.
Yeah.
It's a movie that starts, rather than building to something, it starts in the middle of something, and then it takes you to the end of something. But it takes you at the end of the thing that it starts you in the middle of. It doesn't close that off and then start something new.
Yeah.
The other movies, they don't. They start, and then they take you quite literally nowhere. They are the other two movies. You can watch it and go, well, do you know what? You could have fucking done that in a fucking title card.
Yeah.
You're not had to put us through. This is, like you say, it's a good one of the third ones, but it kind of. It's like, well, hang on a minute. Why did we need all that to build to this? Just give us that fucking movie. And what happens in between now and and what happens in the fourth one, that middle bit is fucking more interesting than what you spent 5 hours telling me beforehand.
Star Wars Rebels, mate. You got to get on it.
I'm not gonna. But it has made me go, do you know what? I've got the shit to out of the way. And I've got, well, it's the best of the original, of the second three. I've got that out of the way. And it's like, well, do you know what? Yes, it should be, I would say you could easily take 40 minutes out of that movie and have a better movie. But now I'm going, right, all right, these are the three ones that people are more precious about.
It's the gravy now, bud. It's the gravy.
Yeah. But the thing is, if I come out at the end of these and I'm going, yeah, still not for me, then I know it's not for me. If I come out at the end of it, I can go, do you know what? I gave it a crack.
Yeah, fair enough. Definitely not shit. I'm doing it. 7 out of 10. Definitely not shit.
Do you know what? I was going to go touching cloth, but I'm going to go, it's definitely not shit.
Yes!
The reason is that I don't think it is shit. And so I can't say touching cloth because I don't think it's shit. So it's definitely not shit.
Nice result.
So yeah, all right, yeah.
Nice.
With that. So, yes, so next week we will have episode 1 of Star Wars. I am not calling it A New Hope. I'm sorry, I'm not. It was released called Star Wars. It's called Star Wars. You can't change the name of a film 30 years later.
In fairness,
you can't.
In fairness, he called it Episode 4: A New Hope in the title card just after the first release. There was a re-release, and he had the title card saying Episode 4: A New Hope in there.
A re-release, what, of Star Wars?
Yeah.
So when did he change the name?
Yes, all right. It was Star Wars and just the title call without. I think it's without Episode 4, but I'd like to somebody TGP73 come at me. Did it say A New Hope in the title crawl originally, or did it say what was it just the text at first, and then in the re-release it said Episode 4: A New Hope? How did that work? Because I always thought I used to always think it was really clever of George Lucas to put Episode 4: A New Hope in there just so he could say, well, there's 3 others coming. Originally, like that's how bullish he was, and it was like, well, no, it didn't quite work like that, but still. This one was a hit, and he thought, fuck it, I've got 3 other stories I could say beforehand. I'm going to call this Episode 4, and I've already got all the merchandising rights. You know, so...
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to rewatching this one. And what else are we covering next week?
I have reached the point of the night where I really need to pee, so I'm going to say it's a busy one next week. Bridge of Spies, Carol, The Good Dinosaur, and something else, which for the life of me... Black Mass, yeah.
Well, we will decide at some point during the week what we are going to see.
I think it's probably going to be Black Mass, isn't it?
Out of those, I prefer Black Mass, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm thinking I might try and double bill Black Mass and Carol, just because I'm hearing so many good things about Carol. But yeah, I really need a piss, so sorry.
Thanks for listening, guys, and we shall speak to you next week, where we might ask for questions.
Yay!
Bye.